Today, it is my real pleasure to speak with Ros Place. Ros, you are a guardian angel channel, best-selling author, wife, and mom to two boys. You believe that anyone can learn to channel, and you teach people how to channel their own guardian angel to help them take positive and effective action in their lives and live their true purpose. Rose, welcome to Personal Development Mastery. Such a
Oh,
delight to be with you.
thank you. It's so lovely to be here, Aggie. Thank you so much.
As I was telling you just before we hit record, this is a topic that I'm both fascinated about and I don't know much about. So this is going to be intriguing. And we will talk today about channeling our guardian angel. As a quick clarification, Rose, here, okay, when we say you are a guardian angel channel, what does that mean in one sentence?
To channel God, my guardian angel, means that I communicate directly with my guardian angel and that I facilitate that communication for others.
That's great. Fantastic. That's what I believed it was, but I wanted a concise explanation, and I think that is very clear. So before we go there and discuss that topic, I would like to ask you about your fascinating journey, and in particular, any key defining moments along the way that really turned you into or turned your path into where you are right now, teaching others about how to channel their own guardian angel.
Yeah, I've had quite an interesting life. I think it started, my first memories of angels as a
Mm.
baby in my crib. The first thing that I remember seeing and feeling and hearing and communicating with is angels, beautiful coloured lights that were all around me. And throughout all of my childhood, I communicated with angels. They taught me, they showed me things, they shaped me in ways which were incredible. And throughout my adult life, I've continued to nurture that relationship. And my relationship with the angels has led me to the most incredible situations in my life. One that we spoke about before we came onto your podcast today was um, it was around 6 years ago, and I was sitting in the front room in our home with my husband Eddie, and I had at that time, so how old would Manny have been? A 6-year-old and a 13-year-old, two boys. And I said to Eddie, I want to go to Los Angeles. And he said, well, why don't you go then? So I said, okay, I'll go. So I arranged to fly out to Los Angeles on my own. I didn't know anybody. I'd never been even to America. I didn't know what to expect. I just felt really drawn to going there. And the week before I went, we had a family gathering, like a real extended family gathering where we lived. And I happened to have a conversation with my mum's cousin, big Italian extended family living here in England. And she said, oh, I hear you're going to Los Angeles. You must meet up with my daughter. She loves to meet up with English people when they come out. So I said, oh, okay, I'll take her email and perhaps we can meet for a coffee. So I reached out to her and we met for a coffee. And she asked me, because we'd never met before, part of the same family, but we'd never connected before. And she asked me about what I did. What do you do? And what brings you here? And I explained to her that I was a guardian angel channel and that I communicated with guardian angels and that I was just here feeling that I wanted to visit and I didn't have any plan whatsoever at all. And she said to me, do you know, it's really interesting you should share this with me. I think there's someone you should meet. And she introduced me to a number of people who introduced me to then a number of people and so on and so on. I met people in the beauty industry. I met people in the music industry. I met artists, musical artists. And it kind of reached a climax, if you like, when a lady who I'd connected with and read for connected her with her guardian angel. She said, "I'd really like to introduce you to my boss." And I said, "Yeah, of course, I'd be delighted to meet your boss." She said, "Would you be so kind as to go and meet him at his home in Malibu? Here are some dates. Would these dates work for you?" So I said, "Yeah, of course." So anyway, I got an Uber to this beautiful home overlooking the sea at Malibu. And this boss of my friend happened to be a multi-billionaire in the beauty industry. And I read for him. I connected him with his guardian angel. He had lots of questions. It was a wonderful meeting. And he said to me, "What do you want, Ros?" And I said, I don't want anything." And then a really funny conversation, a really kind of out there conversation, which only a billionaire, I suppose, could have. He said to me, "Well, I've got lots of bikes. Would you like a bike, a motorbike? Can I set you up with a car? Is there any accommodation that I can arrange for you here? Can I write you a check?" And I said, I really don't want anything." And he said, "I'm going to go and speak to my chef. And when I come back, you need to have an answer for me." And when he came back, I had this moment of feeling as though I had the ear of God. I felt that I could ask for anything. And I knew it was an important opportunity to ask for what I really, really, really wanted. And I said to him, and he came back and he said, "What's your answer?" And I said, "Can you help me to help children?" And he just looked at me and he said, "Do you like margarita cocktails?" And I said, "I love margarita cocktails." And so he actually made me a drink out on his terrace, and we talked about parenting and life and had a wonderful afternoon together. And he gave me his phone number and he said, "If ever you want anything, you just ring me." And every time I rang him, he would answer the phone. And I didn't rang him like 2 or 3 times, because you can't just ring a billionaire for a chat. You know, you have to ring for something, which feels like a weird dynamic, because you just want to ring and say, "Hi, I was just thinking of you." But it isn't that way. You have to. And anyway, he wrote me an application for my visa, a testimony for my visa, and he said, "Yeah, I'll help you." So I came back to England, and I was riding this wave of wow. And then immediately after that, I kind of nosedived, because I realized that as much as I wanted to help as many people as possible to communicate with their guardian angels, because of the incredible opportunity that it presented. And in many ways, going to Los Angeles was about that, because I really felt like if I could access people who were in positions of influence, if I could connect them with their guardian angels, then it could have some impact in the world, that it could cause them to think about things in a different way or have a different attitude. And the people that I connected with, I know that it made a difference. But I nosedived because I realized that I could not possibly connect everybody with their guardian angels. And then what ensued was a period of not communicating with guardian angels for a very long time, until 3 years ago, when Tristan, my guardian angel, said, "Instead of you doing it for other people, I'm going to show you how you can teach other people to do it for themselves."
Fascinating. And, you know, I was listening to this story, and how you mentioned the people of influence, and how these, what I'm thinking out at the moment right now is that maybe indirectly you can help more people than you can imagine, rather than it's not only the direct, because that's how I see it myself sometimes, that there is always a ripple effect in what we do, and the one person we help might help a million people without us really knowing. I'm going to ask you about guardian angel and channeling and all these things in a moment. Before I do, what would you say to someone listening to us right now and is, let's say, a bit skeptical about the topic, guardian angels and so on?
Yeah, it's interesting. I found that over the last 3 years, really since the world was disrupted so much by COVID and what ensued after, that
Mhm,
people are interestingly much more receptive. It's as though there's been an awakening that's occurred through the trauma, the mass trauma that's
mhm.
been experienced by all of us to some degree on some level. So if you'd have asked me that question 3 years ago, I think I would have had quite a different answer. I find that um, people are much more receptive, much more open. There's a knowingness that's beginning to emerge from people now that it isn't always about what we can see with our eyes, that science and spirituality are beginning to fuse in a very interesting way, that physics and what we understand of the universe and what we're beginning to comprehend in terms of the interconnectedness of all things is really providing people with the evidence that they need, that there is more to learn, that this is an opportunity to grow and to learn. But your relationship with your guardian angel, I can tell you, is your guardian angel only exists for you. Your guardian angel only exists to support you, serve you, love you, to fulfill your purpose, in order that you can contribute positively to the expansion of the entire universe. But what I'll also tell you is that your guardian angel will never force you to believe in them, will never push you, will never try to convince you or coerce you. And that it is truly a journey of love and opening the heart to self, which provides the resonance, if you like, which provides the space in order for that connection with your guardian angel to occur. It is a truly blossoming process of becoming open to an awareness of something that deep inside you want to be true, but experiencing in an evidence-based way becomes true.
I was about to ask you, and I think in a way you answered it already, but I'm going to ask it anyway. I was wondering why. So I assume that each of us has a guardian angel next to us, or maybe I don't know if that is a literal thing, but next to us, shall we say? Uh, my question was why then most people are completely unaware of it. There is no kind of nudge, if you wish, from the angel that you know what, I'm here for you. Is it because of what you said that they can't coerce you into doing anything? Is it about our freedom to choose, or is it some other reason?
So there's a couple of reasons. The first reason is that your guardian angel has been with you since the moment that you were conceived. And throughout the whole of your gestation period, throughout birth, throughout all of your life. And therefore, the degree of familiarity that you have with your guardian angel can, in the beginning, make it very difficult to distinguish them from you because they are such a part of you. And as you say, they are with you. They are always wanting to help you and support you. My experience is that what makes that difficult is that as humans, we create what I think of and what I've personally experienced as a defense mechanism, a human defense which is intended in rational terms to keep us safe from anything which we don't understand. When we've been hurt in our lives, for example, this defense mechanism can be created. We are told by our parts of our ego, we are told by our logical mind that we must create this defense mechanism in order to remain safe, in order to be vigilant, in order to be aware of things before they come. But this is an extremely repellent energy, which actually creates, in many cases, the reverse of what's intended, because this defense mechanism is a protectionism, which becomes a barrier. So your guardian angel is always trying to help you. Your guardian angel is always radiating the energy of your purpose to you. Often people will see signs. People will talk about repeated numbers. People will talk about white feathers. People will talk about seeing shards of light. People will talk about perhaps having a sense or a feeling that's just fleeting. So they're always trying to communicate with you. Free will does play a part, but it's more a case of wanting to support you to experience more love in order that you can become more aware of them. It's a vibration, a question of vibration. I think that when you feel most open and loving, or when you feel most vulnerable, which interestingly can come at the same time very often, that's when that opening can occur, where your guardian angel can connect with you, be felt by you.
Thank you for this answer. It was when you were saying about the defense mechanism of that part of the ego that wants to keep us safe, doing the familiar and nothing beyond that. You mentioned that this is a certain vibration, which is for me that's very important to realize that this kind of thinking and acting creates a vibration that in return will create the external reality or what you will attract. So it was just a my reflection, or maybe iterate in my own words something of what you said. I would like to go a little bit more practical now, since we're talking about that, and you say that it is anyone can channel their guardian angel. And one thing, Rose, that I want to clarify for myself, because for me it's one thing to have an intuition or a message in my body intelligence, which could be my guardian angel talking or not. But what I'm trying to say is that it's one thing to have this intuition and knowing, but for me the word channel refers to something entirely different, because you can't have a communication with your intuition, as far as I have experienced it anyway. So can you explain that for me as well, because channel is for me a very specific word in this kind of communication. And also you can also give us some of the nitty gritty of how would one start going about doing that.
Sure. Okay. So, first of all, intuition. So, intuition, in my experience, is something which is felt more internally.
Mm-hmm.
And intuition can absolutely be utilized, and it's a wonderful first step towards beginning to become open to something which is outside of your usual way of functioning, outside of what you would normally do. Because whenever we approach something new, it's important that we feel safe.
Mm-hmm.
Because if we do not feel safe, then we resist and we seize up. We become something which is not allowing of natural growth. So intuition, a feeling or a sense of something, can really gently be applied to life. If you have a sense and a feeling about something that you should do, and this is where I want to make the distinction actually between intuition and instinct. For me, intuition is a feeling of, this would be a really good idea for me to do this. Intuition for me is, hey, why don't you call that person, or why don't you open that drawer when you're looking for something that you may have lost, or a feeling of doing something, a gentle step, practical way that you can begin to apply what you feel to your life, which is different to instinct, because instinct to me is something which is no. if I'm feeling something, if I feel my instincts, it feels physical, and it feels like something which is an instinct, is like not to go down that street or not to walk down that alley. That's a real, like some people would describe that as a gut feeling. So
Yes.
do you feel the same?
Absolutely, absolutely. I think I used the word intuition earlier, but yeah, I realized
Yeah,
the instinct is very of the body. It's not, yes, and it's quite intense and yeah, makes you pay attention.
absolutely, absolutely. So intuition is absolutely something which you can apply practically to your life and that can guide you. Now,
Yes.
with regards to channeling,
Mm-hmm.
and instinct, intuition, as I said, is internal.
Mm-hmm.
Channeling is external. Channeling
Yes.
is your guardian angel is not you. Channeling your guardian angel is connecting with the energy that came to be with you in this lifetime to direct you to your divine purpose. Channeling is a literal channel. The technique that I teach is creating a channel of communication all the way from you, in actual fact, to your heart center, all the way up through all of your channels of communication, up through your crown and to your guardian angel and back down. And that channel is created through a process of gentle, loving next steps, of validations, of confirmations, of ultimately trust, which develops naturally between you and your guardian angel as you become open. So channeling is external, intuition is internal. Both can be developed, both can be practically applied. But does that explain the distinction between the two?
It certainly does. Thank you. Yes. How simple is that technique? And is so you say that anyone can do it? Is it a matter of persevering with it? Uh,
Yeah, it's interesting. We had every month we have a meetup with all of my mentored students, and what's wonderful
mhm.
is when people graduate, they go through the
Oh,
whole year of the program, and at the end they share their experience with those that are just beginning their journey. And it was wonderful to speak with one of the mentored students just last night, and her talking about this journey and being consistent is important. Following the technique, learning a very simple process, and allowing your body to absorb that so that it becomes automatic, creates the space through which the channel is created. And
mhm,
once that channel is created, you are able to receive that information in a really clear way. It's a simple process, and what's interesting about the process, and what's been interesting about teaching people this method, is that it is about learning to allow and learning to let go of what has held you back in the past. And this is where I suppose we begin to talk about personal development, because they are so linked. What I have found through those that I have mentored is that those that are the most, well, those that succeed, those that are experiencing the degree of channeling that is ultimate,
mhm,
have been successfully able to conquer personal development issues and areas which have held them back in their personal life,
mhm,
and are preventing them, blocking them from making the spiritual progress, which will allow them to channel. But once they transcend those blocks, once they allow, trust, let go, release, not only do they channel, but they have transcended to the next level of personal development. The barriers are gone, and life becomes as it was intended: ease, smooth, grace. It's gorgeous. So anyone can, but it's a process of learning to not try. Like when we learn things as humans, we work really hard, we try. I can definitely associate with that. It's like if I'm doing something I'm going to give myself to it. I'm going to try. I'm going to work really hard. All of the conditioning that we learn as a human. But this is kind of the antithesis of that. This is allowing. This is letting go. This is through a beautiful process of trust, which naturally evolves in your own way, on your own timeline. No pushing, no forcing, no making things be. The channel opens.
Tell me a bit more about those blocks, those barriers you mentioned earlier. Are they like in the subconscious barriers? Are they energetic barriers? Are they all sorts of different barriers? What's your experience with that?
Yeah, they are all different. So where they show up, I'll give you an example of
Mhm.
where a couple have shown up in a way that. So what's interesting about this is that very often what it is possible for us as outside of a situation to see as a repeated pattern or a recurring situation in someone's life is very difficult for that individual to see when they're in the thick of it. That makes sense.
Oh, yes.
And I think we can all benefit from a little bit of external kind of like constructive feedback sometimes. But in terms of where these blocks occur, for example, there was a wonderful man who has just graduated in the program, a man who's just graduated in the program. We were talking about that earlier. And he has been able to, through a series of layers, release incredible fear, which was installed in him as a child, a feeling of abandonment and a feeling of deep fear, which he experienced in his childhood, which has had a ripple effect throughout his entire life. His inability to fully open to trust and nurture healthy relationships, to allow anybody in and close, to fully let go and allow himself to be loved. And we, I don't mind saying, had a number of sessions together where the frustration that he felt was tangible. He was upset. Why can't I do this? Why is this not possible? I'm trying as hard as I can. And through language, we talked about letting go was too much to talk about. Letting go was too much. It was just being more gentle in terms of perhaps releasing a little of the control, trusting and trying this approach, which can be something which can be stopped at any time, this new approach to accepting and allowing. And not only did this wonderful man, through channel of clarity, channel with his guardian angel in a way which is allowing him to not only ask questions and receive answers to things which he has always wanted to know in his life, but also, and this is really exciting, has also opened him up to, within his area of interest, which is astrology, begin to ask questions and explore very detailed subject areas which he knows nothing about directly from his guardian angel. And that has been mind-blowing. In addition to that, living life with his guardian angel, planning the beautiful future that they are now creating into reality, and feeling the way that he described it is he's not the same person that he was. He's at peace. He feels love. He's ready to be loved. He's ready to share love. And there's this beautiful contentment that just radiates from him now, where there was once constriction and fear and a real sense of always being defensive. I said a lot there. I hope that goes some way to answer the question that you asked, Aggie.
Yes, it does, and it gives me a handle to ask about living with purpose, which I think it is in a way you were describing, even though you didn't use the word. It sounded to me like someone living their purpose, and that is something that many more and more people are really looking for, and so probably that's why they're listening right now to this conversation. I want to bridge this purpose or living purpose, and how you said that when you live your life with your guardian angel, then the result of it, or the actions that you will be tending to take anyway, would be aligned with that. And I wanted to bridge that in particular with, you mentioned personal development, and I want to discuss this, the correlation and the distinction about personal development and spiritual development, because I think there are so many common things. In many ways it is the one and the same thing, but it's not in another way. There is a distinction there, and I think it is important, if not imperative, to embrace the spiritual development side of things if we want to advance in our journey, rather than going around in circles with even more knowledge every time. And I'm generalizing now, but I think you can understand the point of the question I'm asking, I hope.
Yeah, well, I'll have a go. I hope that I understand. I think there's so much to explore within that, isn't there? It's
Absolutely.
exciting. I can feel my heart start beating as you start to talk about it. So personal development and spiritual development, I describe as two sides of the same ladder. So I always describe I always say that you can advance so much personally, and then your spiritual growth is required in order to support you to elevate to that next level. And I think that a lot of people experience that spiritual growth in ways which perhaps they aren't fully aware of. I think that a lot of people who are highly successful are actually much more spiritual. They might say intuitive than we realize. They're accessing that tremendous power that we all have access to, which means that we never need to be alone, which means that we never need to make choices which are going to take us down blind alleys, which means that we're never going to have to move in a direction that isn't our next step, isn't aligned with our purpose. So in my field, which is spiritual development, I am so thrilled and excited about personal development, because often in the spiritual development realm, I witness a lot of passive spiritual development, I'm going to call it. It's very much like, oh, I'm just going to kind of see what happens. I'm going to put it out there. And there are a lot of people that talk about spiritual development in a very kind of encapsulated way. When to me, spiritual development is an opportunity for you to develop personally, because the guidance that you can receive from your guardian angel, the answers, the direction, co-creating life with your guardian angel is practical. You can ask questions about things that you want to know about, and you must practically apply it to your life. It's not even enough to know your purpose. Even if you know your purpose, it's important that you apply practically that spiritual guidance to your life in order to fully benefit. And in terms of the connection, spiritual development for me is something which has brought so many incredible blessings into my life and into my family's life. We are currently living life traveling with Tristan, my guardian angel, directing our journey through Europe currently, through the Balkans currently. And that has been an exciting journey for all of us, an expansive opportunity for our entire family to experience a life which has allowed us family connection and time, opportunity to explore new horizons, to introduce our children to the wider world, and to have an understanding of how we are all the same and we are all connected, and how much kindness and goodness there is there out in the world, contrary to what is often projected upon us. And living life with Tristan, my spiritual development is providing tremendous opportunities to learn life lessons, which is really what I feel is the interface between spiritual development and personal development, life lessons, things which keep coming up, things which, if you ignore, will just repeat in slightly different ways. But once you clear them, you truly are free to live life in a way that you intended.
It's such a beautiful message and very inspiring and empowering, I think, for those who want to. So I would rewind it and listen to that again. I think it's really again uplifting as well. I was curious when you were saying about traveling. Just a quick one. Does your husband and your boys also channel? Have you
So,
taught them?
well, it's interesting actually, because both of my boys have always, they would say, known things. I just know, I just knew. And
Okay.
yeah, that's the way they would describe it. In terms of their relationship with their guardian angels, um, so how can I explain this? So this is the way I'm going to explain it. My mum was a French teacher, and because she was a French teacher, she used to try pummel us with learning French. And it was something which I found very difficult to fully embrace, because of the way that her enthusiasm for what she did was kind of pushed upon me. So I took that awareness and also a respect for my children's wishes, and I only tuned in and connected with their guardian angels when they were ready for me to do so. So they both know their guardian angels, all of us do. So my husband's guardian angel is called Prager, my son's guardian angel, my youngest, is called Creo, and my eldest son's guardian angel is called Luxo. And they all know their guardian angels, they all know their life purpose strengths, and it provides them with great comfort. And I was only speaking with Eddie the other day about channeling, because up until now, our lives have been so full and so busy. The way that we live now, I think, will provide an opportunity to just very naturally embody that process and learn that process. So, work in progress is what I would say with regards to the answer to that question.
That's great. Yeah, it is work. It's always work in progress, Rose, for everything. I think, uh,
100.
based on all the conversation we've had today, what's one actionable step, an action that the listener can take as a result of this to make an advancement or a progress?
Yeah, it's a very simple step, and it's something which is very easy to do, but
Mhm.
it's something which you can really deeply allow yourself to rest into. And it goes back to what I was talking about with regards to becoming open, that experience of the heart, that experience of love, that opening, that laying down of the defenses,
Mhm.
and doing so in a way that feels safe. What I teach people as part of the process, and I'd love to do this with you, Aggie, if you'd like to, and your audience might like to join in when there's somewhere they can be sitting and peaceful and quiet, is to place your hand over your heart. So the way that I know that my hand is over my heart center is by putting my thumb just underneath my collarbone and placing my palm across my chest. And then closing your eyes, I'd love you, please, to enjoy feeling yourself move into your heart. You can enjoy that experience as a feeling of warmth, just a pleasant feeling, a feeling of being a little bit calmer, feeling a little bit more in your body, and enjoying the feeling of your chest and your breathing moving up into the palm of your hand. And then saying to yourself inside, and when you can be private and alone, saying it out loud, saying to yourself with feeling, I love you. I accept you for all that you are. I love you unconditionally. And just allowing yourself to accept love, to accept a better feeling, to accept gentleness, softness. And when you're ready, placing both of your palms on your legs, making sure that your body's the first thing that you see when you open your eyes, coming back. And that process of just putting your hand on your chest is something that you can do that will connect you in with your heart, with I love you, I accept you for all that you are, I love you unconditionally. It feels so unusual to say it to begin with. It feels, for some people, uncomfortable. It can feel awkward. But the more that you give yourself to this feeling, the more you will increase your ability to feel love for yourself and therefore feel love for others. So that's what I would encourage everybody to start with, themselves. I love you. I accept you for all that you are. I love you unconditionally. And say it to as much as you can with feeling to yourself every time you do it. And that's really where I would recommend you begin.
Thank you. How wonderful it was. We didn't have much time to talk about your book, Channel of Clarity, but I know that you have an offer for the listeners. So please direct him or her to where they can find the book with this offer you have, and also any other place you would like to share with them so that they can carry on with the conversation. Of course, I will put all the links in the show notes as well.
Oh, thank you, Aggie. So, yeah, in the show notes, there'll be a link to, for your listeners to be able to purchase the Channel of Clarity digital book and all of the additional resources that go along with the book for just $1. And that will provide you with the full Channel of Clarity technique. There are some wonderful assessments and quizzes. There's the story there of me meeting the billionaire and many other stories about my own experiences of lack of self-confidence, people pleasing. I certainly am work in progress, as we talked about previously. In addition to that, if anyone would like to find out more about the ways that I work with angels, then I think my YouTube channel is the best place to go there. It's the Guardian Angel channel on YouTube, and there are meditations, there are videos which I create every week and love to share. And come along and say hi. Let me know that you've seen the video, and I'm very active there, and I'd love to chat.
Rosa, I want to thank you very much for this conversation. I think it was valuable, and it gave the message to the one that is ready to hear it and absorb it and take action on it, because it resonates. So I'm grateful for this conversation. I want to wish you all the best with this ongoing mission that you have. I think each of us in this space have this, not in this space. I will take it back. I didn't mean it like that. I meant in the the people who are more in connection and want to contribute and make the world or leave the world a better place than how it was before they were. So I'm wishing you all the best with that, and I will leave it to you for your last parting words.
Thank you so much. And thank you for all that you do, Aggie. Thank you for your wonderful podcast. Thank you for the message that you share. It's just such a delight to be with you. And I'd just like your audience to know that I'm here. If they have any questions, if they'd like to ask anything at all, I love nothing more than to talk about guardian angels and to help those that are wanting to develop their connection. So thank you so much.